everyone, Comical here, and welcome to Comically Remixes, where I redraw or reenact my old videos to see how much I've grown. Now, the video we'll be doing today is my first video, how to draw a male face in my style. Now, it's hard to imagine that I started this channel 1 year ago, and already at a jaw-dropping 7 subscribers. I know, pretty cool, right? Now, wait here as I try and find my pencil, and I'll be with you right now. Okay, I'm back, and now I finally found my pencil, so we can start. For the first step, you're gonna have to draw a circle. Now, I wish I could use my trusty protractor. I mean compass. Sorry, my math is a bit rusty since the holidays. My trusty compass. But I do know that some of you guys at home can't afford compasses for your art. Even though you can afford Wi-Fi to watch this video. Think about that for a second. Now, as I was saying, let's continue to the first step. Draw a circle. Now, this is a pretty rough circle, not gonna lie. Looks like his parents are divorced. But we can refine it by going over it a couple of times and getting our perfect circle. Now, the reason my drawing skills are kind of lacking is because, like, I can't show my head because, you know, internet, and my paper is all the way here. As you can see, I'm literally stretching out my arms, and they're all the way over here. So it's quite hard to draw where your head is 30 centimeters away from the paper itself. Now, let's continue. Now, draw a line through the middle of the paper. This is where the nose will go, and this will determine the distance between the eyes, the length of the mouth, and practically everything else, including the width of the forehead, the chin, etc., etc. Now, you're free to make this as long as you want, as long as it seems okay. We do not want a long face. After that, you're going to want to attach the very tip of the circle, or the farther side, to the middle by making a curved shape. Then after that, we're going to draw 2 lines. They should be about 1/8 from the circle's edge. And then after that, you're going to want to draw a line to show the body. Isn't it funny that my last drawing video was freaking 9 months ago? And you can't even count that as a drawing video. I literally showed off my art supplies and did some scribbles. But I've been trying to branch out my content for the past couple of videos. And when I say past couple of videos, that means about 2 months ago. I'll try and make my uploading schedule better. Now, you're going to want to make a line. This will be how long the nose is. Now, draw 2 ovals where you think the eyes should go. You should be able to fit a third eye in the middle of these eyes. And draw a slightly wider line down here. Now, quickly mark where you're going to put the mouth. And this is where we're going to be. Now this is where we can kind of slowly refine, kind of move the eyes a bit together. This one's close enough, but this one, because this is kind of your rough. Now, feel free to pause the video and refine your rough drawing. And we're back. So, I assume all of you have already done your roughs. Now, we're going to move on to the more, rough to the more important roughs. First of all, we're going to make a line between the two corners of the mouth, and then kind of signify where the lips are. This line over here seems to signify the bottom lip. Second of all, we're going to make the ears. I like to make them start in the middle of the eyes, or where the circle meets the line, and end them off where the nose is. These are relatively small ears, but you know. Also, I want to say another thing. I think my knowledge in anatomy has improved so far. I got an anatomy book, and I think that's helped me. When I say anatomy, I don't mean like an art anatomy book, but literally a medical anatomy book, where I just straight up see the medical pictures, which now I'm traumatized by, and learn anatomy. I've gotten pretty good at drawing arm muscles, but you guys wouldn't know that since I barely show my progress and most of my art gets destroyed. So now you just see a big jump in quality. Now, since I don't have a rubber, this is going to be a real issue. I do not have a rubber, so how am I going to rub this out? Find out on the next episode of Dragon Ball Z. But I'm actually quite serious. I actually don't have a rubber, so this is gonna be looking really rough. I really don't know what to do, since there seems not be a rubber where I live. A single one. It's quite annoying. And yeah, I'm gonna quickly go and come back so I can finally have a rubber to clean up this mess. And we're back, and I finally have a rubber. So now you're going to rub out the scratchy and unneat lines, and also all those unnecessary lines, like the line where the circle is, the line down the middle, and just kind of fill in all those spaces that are now empty. Also, if you also want to kind of polish up your lines to make them look a little better, then you can do that now. Why was there such a big pause there? I'm just so locked in. Yeah, my videos look very chopped since I'm not really that professional. The reason they look so chopped is because I don't have editing software. So you just see the original recorded video is laid out there in the wild. I remember remember the days where I used to like, what's this? Make a video a day. That lasted for like 4 videos. And you can really only say like 3 days, since my first 2 videos are made on the same day. I'll try and make a video a day from now on. Except for Saturdays. Saturdays is for church. And I don't really have time after church. But, you know, my life just kind of collides with my content schedule. Funny to think that before, the first time I created my content, I was in grade 6 and I was 11 years old. And now I'm 13 now. And I'm going to high school. And high school's gonna make it even harder. Gonna get my phone locked up in a safe again. Exams. Exams that are hard as balls. Pause. But I think I'll manage. So, I'm just about to finish up here. Just adding a few necessary details. And now we can finally get to the part that everyone's been waiting for. On the next episode of Dragon Ball Z. I'm just kidding. What was that? Damn. Have I been doing that with the whole video? Oh, I didn't notice. It's because my room smells like Old Spice at the moment. I really can't hold my breath. So we're going to start off with the nose. Now, the nose at the very bottom, it's just flat. Now, there are two kind of, how do I say this, structures on both ends that go behind the protruding nose, kind of like 2 pillars. And on those 2 structures, there's another one that connects back to the nose. Now, imagine these as 3-dimensional. Now, I did it again. We're gonna curve out the nose, and over here where these structures are, we're gonna add the nostrils. Just realized that back in my old videos, my character used to look so Sigma. Like my old style, like the characters used to look so over the top muscle, and I just love drawing muscles for some reason. But for real, who doesn't? Muscles are awesome. Just redrawing here because I messed up, and we can try that again. Nostril. Let's make this one bigger because the other one decided he wanted to be special. So, now we're going to add the details, make it flare bits, and make the structures here more smooth. You can add the shading later. Now underneath the nose, we're going to add this kind of, I don't know what that called. What's that called? It looks very weird, and it makes people look old the more defined you make it. So since my character seems to be in like his prime years, we're just gonna give him that slight definition. Now, I don't want to define the bottom lip too much, because then it's just gonna look unrealistic. The top lip has that kind of definition. and the bottom lip is just little lobe with two little line holes at the sides of the mouth. You can add wrinkles here if you want. I'm just saying it's gonna make your character look old. And right here I like to add the chin. Now over here at the top of the nose, I'm just gonna make it a bit curved so we can segue right into the eyes. You see, I always think that my videos are so good when I'm first recording them. But then I actually listen to them and they sound so chopped. Like, oh my goodness. And I never pay attention to when there's like an error. That's why in most of my shorts there's voiceovers. In my first short, the only reason there was a voiceover was because I'm supposed to be giving instructions. Why am I talking? So in the eye, you're going to make this little oval shape, and on that you're going to make a little circle. But 1/8 of the circle must be hidden, and at the bottom of the circle or in the middle of the eye, you're going to add the pupil. Now, on the top of the eye, going to add little hatches to make it seem a little more realistic, and going to add little lines at the bottom. Now look at that glow up. Went from an ancient deity to a regular guy. Not exactly I would call that a glow up. So as I was saying, I never pay attention when there's something off. In my first video though, in my first shorts, the only reason there was like a voiceover was because I wanted to seem cool. I wanted to seem like those guys on YouTube shorts that sound like they're on a podcast. And I thought doing a voiceover would make it sound better. But in fact, it made it sound more chopped. I think I've gotten better with this whole editing and effects thing. And in fact, look how fancy I have my drawing is posted up. At first, I was just gonna add like this light, but then I thought, what's my channel color? I thought like a nice blue would help. By the way, in 2026, damn, time flies. In 2026, something is coming. Just be vigilant. Something on my channel is coming. I'm gonna give you a little hint and just tell you that it is a Comical remix, but not the kind that you would imagine. Now, if you're having trouble replicating the eye, you can kind of make a tiny line showing the very peak and the very bottom of the eye, and kind of assemble it from there. Isn't it kind of weird that we're all kind of bound to our mistakes? Why am I dropping existential bars in the middle of my video? But I'm not gonna lie, that was kind of fire. Just make him more relaxed. It's just this bottom lobe. It is actually the top lobe. It looks like he has a concussion. Yay! I finally got it perfectly. I'm try to make this guy seem a bit tired to signify how I feel. Whoa! I blew. But now he just looks kind of like he got in a fight with the black eye. Now we can finally add the eyebrows. I just realized the lip over here looks like he doesn't have a bottom lip, so I'm just gonna give him more of a bottom lip. Now the eyebrows I usually draw as kind of a slant with an outline. I don't want to make it too thick and too short, or else they would look fake. Kind of hatch. And where I hatch, I kind of add a little dash. And over here I add kind of a little dash. Now I feel like, you know what, never mind. We don't have to worry about that. Now we're gonna move on to the ears. I'm sorry, I'm just so locked in that I forget to talk. I just remembered that when I first made my first video, I always wanted to make a how to draw bodies video, but I feared that I was too, I was bad at drawing. Now, we're going to add a semicircle here in the middle of the ears and a little circle here at the bottom to signify the little lobes. Then, inside, we're going to add a little concave and where the ear is. Now this little concave and the inner ring, as I like to call it, are kind of squiggly shaped. But as you know, this is specifically my style. I'm not a professional at all. Now you're going to go over this. Make it real nice and thick. Pause. No diddy. No diddy. And in the inner ring, you're going to shade it a bit and make it kind of flat. Now do it again on this ear. And I think we'll be set. For some reason, why do like phones capture like the slightest bit of wind? Like the slightest bit of wind will sound like a freaking nuclear bomb. I just realized the reason he looks weird, my guy, is because he looks like he's mewing. Oh no. They'll detect like the slightest bits of wind and like think it's a freaking atomic bomb. And over here I'm going to add the throat. And now we're gonna move on to the more intricate details. edges. Make sure to not make them too defined now. Make them real small. I'm gonna add slight wrinkles here at the top. And slight lump here. Show like the chin bones. And slight concave here. Show these little shadows. Now, we're finally gonna head off to the shading. Now, I like to do my shading with a little bit of lines. I want to move on to another comment. I feel like my cinematography in my videos has gotten better. As you can see, I literally added lights here to make it seem more professional. Now, I'm like practically every other work. We're gonna imagine the light sources here, like your little drawing in grade 5 where you drew the sun. Or not grade 5, your little drawing in preschool where you drew the sun in the corner. Just imagine the light sources there. Now, since the light source is there, we're going to see where the lip is in relation to the light source. As you can see, the lip must be casting shadows here. Now, this is the boundary of where our shadows will be, and we're going to add little boundary. And we're going to add a little boundary where it'll end. Now we have a full outline where the lip shadow will be. And let's just make it a bit bigger on this side because it's a bit more intense there. Now the chin here is also going to be casting a shadow. So we're just going to add a shadow there. The nose as well is going to cast a shadow. So we'll just add a shadow over here. By the way, I've gotten more into JoJo's. Not that it affects my style. I could draw nothing like JoJo's. JoJo's is beyond my level. But I really like the art in it. I hope that one day that I can draw like JoJo's. My art is nowhere close to the prowess of Rocky. Now, as you can see over here, there's a little place where the chin bone goes, and that also creates a shadow. This creates a cast shadow, but the overall shape of the chin bone causes a little bit of shadows over here. And also remember this little place where the wrinkles go, that also casts a shadow. So don't just look at a picture of shadows and just draw like that, because you kind of have to understand why it looks like that. Also add a little bit here because the form of the cheekbone. And kind of add faint, very faint shadow here. Also add a shadow here where the eyebrow, or well, the concave of the eye kind of makes a shadow. Also make a shadow here. And also this overall shape will also make a shadow. Now remember when I told you to make lines there? Now the shape of the skull has these little concaves in the corners, and this causes there to be a shadow. And the overall overall shape of the forehead also causes there to be a shadow. The overall shape of the nose also causes there to be a shadow. And also the overall shape of the head causes there to be a shadow. Now that we have our spazzy little nerd in shape, let's try and make the little more apparent shadows darker. Over here where the cheekbone is, over here with the ear, we're gonna make that darker. Over here where the nose is, the very beginning, not when it kind of fades off. And kind of outline the lips. After that, we're going to make it a little bit darker here, and to top it off, we're going to make it way darker here. The JoJo's edits by the community are saying, like, if you have seen the Father Pucci Crucified edit, then you'll understand what I'm saying. The animation in part 6 is absolutely fire, but part 5 will forever be the best part. Finished it now. The opening, the ending, the music, like the significance, the references, it all came together, and it was like pure art. It was literally literary art in my terms. Also here where the eyebrow is kind of casts a shadow, and also since it kind of folds in on itself, it also casts a shadow there. And there is your male face. Now, I know could have done better, maybe given him hair instead of giving him his shiny Mr. Clean head, but we'll just leave it off here. Hit the like button if you liked it, and subscribe to support me as I'm a small creator. And if you want to see more comically remixes, then comment down below. Thank you.